Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm back. I fed the cats. My brother, he figured out because he ought to know what I was doing. I was eating leftovers, so he goes, "Well, don't open anything for the cats." He had a can of he had a can of chicken. He gave some of it to each cat, so that's what they had for lunch. Okay, now I'm watching Ancient Aliens now. I'll interject anything that's interesting. It's on right now, so you can turn on the History Channel and watch exactly what I'm watching. And they're showing how they've got people getting ready for the Mars mission. And Dr. Travis from Skinwalker Ranch, he's at the training facility, and they hooked him up into a gear, and it simulates what Mars is like. So he goes, if you jump right now, it'll be like jumping on Mars as close as we can get it. And then they were trying to have him dig, and he was just falling all over the place because he's used to Earth gravity, and being on Mars is going to be like a major change. Okay, there's this thing where they're okay, I don't know if this is true or not. I just got a pop up on my tablet. It's saying Mitch McConnell has tragically died. Thing is, though, the guy in question, he runs a lot of clickbait on his videos. I don't watch his videos anymore. He still shows up in my feed, but because he'll have a thing on there. Oh, well, this happened, and you go and you watch the whole fucking video, and he doesn't talk anything about it. Like, oh, well, Donald Trump was just fired his lawyer, and he didn't. Or Donald Trump was just arrested. Something just happened, and it really didn't. And to me, if you're going to be dishonest like that, if he's dishonest in a funny way, because oh God, there was can't think of the LJM or something like that. He's done stuff like that, but it's done as a joke. And when people show up in a stream, then it's there to get them talking, make fun of them, or have them make fun of you. But this guy's just doing it to get clicks and views on YouTube, and that to me is kind of it's not. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, if it was a mild exaggeration, that's one thing. But there's another guy I used to follow. He does a lot of videos on Marvel and other stuff like movies and stuff like that. Well, it took me a while to figure it out, but what he does is he'll put up videos on like every side of an argument. He'll make these videos like, oh well, what if Kathleen Kennedy is fired? What if Kathleen Kennedy is promoted? And then whatever happens, when it happens, he goes and deletes the ones that didn't come true. So he's got this history of having all these excellent predictions. Well, what it does, because I instead of watching them after the fact, I was starting to see his new videos. And he'd have like one video one day, one video the next, where he's on two different sides of the issue. And then that's when I figured out, I'm like, okay, he's putting up multiple videos on every subject, as many ideas as he can come up with how it's going to turn out. And then what he does, he just goes and deletes the ones that don't come true. And that to me is kind of sleazy. It wouldn't surprise me if he died because he's been having health issues lately. Like they just had that thing the other day where I think it might have been last week, where he was talking and he just froze up like mid sentence. And he was able to walk away under his own power. I really need a guy with a banner. I will say that this is especially one of those times where I'm kind of glad President Biden is a way better person than I am. Because I don't think I could do, after he stole the Supreme Court seat, well, maybe two of them, but after he did that, after some of the shit that he did, like where he came out, and he, and the Republicans, they want us to just fall behind and be real supportive whenever they get somebody elected. But right after Obama got elected, he stood up and gave an interview where he's like, yeah, our number one priority is to make Obama a one-term president. And he didn't care how much damage he had to do to America to make that happen. He failed, but he still did a shitload of damage to America. And I just could not be nice to that guy. I really couldn't. I'm gonna wait a little bit more, and if I don't get a bannerman, I just want to get one raid cycle. But if I can't get it pretty soon, I'll go do something else and then come back. Because I've had this happen before where you cannot get, this thing will not spit up a guy with a banner, but if you leave the area and come back, then you'll start getting them again. Oh, hey, quick, while we're at it, just at the start of it, seriously, and this is not one of those. This isn't like climate change or other issues where I consider it a deal breaker. If you can't get on the right side, we can't be friends. This one I don't consider that. So feel free. I'm asking, please consider it. But if you don't do it, it just, this is more of a personal choice. But think about writing. You can do it on Twitter. You can send them an email. Some of your politicians have a little web form you can go fill out on their website and send them a message. But seriously, talk to people you know. Get them to write their elected officials at all levels, local, state, and federal, and ask them to legalize assisted suicide. Um, I think the hospice people that took care of my mom were excellent. I'm not trying to rag on them a bit. Hospice just did not seem cool for my mom. And now, if she'd have wanted it, I wouldn't have cared. I really don't know what she'd have wanted. I know my dad, he wouldn't have wanted hospice. He made it pretty clear early on that he'd rather go quick than slow. And all I'm saying, I'm not saying it should be forced on anybody, but it should be available. I'm looking at what my mom went through on hospice, and I think the people that were involved were great. I can't think of anything they could have done better. They were excellent, but it is just a shitty way to watch somebody you care about go. And if they want an option of a better choice, they should have it. And with my health issues don't seem like they're getting better. I'm not sure I'm going to get on disability. I can't work. So as things get worse for me, I'd like a better option than what I currently have. And that's all I'm saying. I just like a better option than what I've got right now. Um, and I don't think that's too much to ask. I mean, we live in a world where they've let people die. That it's fine to let them go. It's fine to take them out because an insurance company doesn't want to pay the bill or the hospital doesn't want to pay the bill. Well, if they can give somebody a euthanasia or euthanasia or whatever, if they can give you that option because some rich fat cat doesn't want to pay the fucking bill, well, then they should be able to give somebody who's sick, like me, or somebody who's dying, which I may become. They should give them better options. And like if my sister gets her way and is able to steal the house out from under us from the trust or fucks it up so we lose the house, um, I would really like better options rather than being homeless. I really would. Um, I just would like better options, and I really don't think that's too much to ask. I just don't. I haven't. I'd have to go look. Okay, they're not doing any in Wisconsin. They got an advertisement for the Ancient Aliens Live coming to a town near you. Well, not in Wisconsin, it isn't. I wouldn't be able to go anyway. Even if I had free tickets, I probably wouldn't be able to go. Not that I wouldn't want to. That I think would actually be fun. Okay, they're talking about a book now called Humans Are Not From Earth. And if I was still able to read and remember what I'm reading, this is one I wouldn't mind reading. And it's basically talking about how there's certain characteristics about our bodies as humans that suggest that they're not from Earth. Like how long it takes. Cause you take a lot of your mammals out there, not all of them, but a lot of them. Uh, they develop within a day or two. They maybe can't walk a lot, but they develop where within a day or two they can get up and start to walk with their parents. Takes us months, better part of a year, before we can do that. And there are just other problems. It kind of, and I've heard this before. It kind of indicates that we maybe came from a planet with a lower gravity. And then when you add the fact that they have found, NASA has, when they do these experiments with these guys in space, when they get outside the Earth gravity, they revert to a Mars clock. The body basically turns to a Mars clock, not an Earth clock of 24 hours, but whatever the Mars day is, it's like 24.5 or 25 hours or something like that, and that's the body clock. It matches up with Mars. And there's other stuff too. Like somebody was saying that they now know that most people, if they are below like 67 degrees, the body does not develop bad cholesterol. It only develops good for most people. They only develop good cholesterol, and and that temperature that is the cutoff. That's like the average temperature on Mars at the equator. Oh, here we go. See, there was something I was watching. I can't remember if I did a stream on that. I know I wanted to. I can't remember if I did. But and I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure I was watching it on YouTube or Roku. But I think it might have been from Gaia, but I'm not 100% sure. And this guy was talking about, there's at least some evidence, maybe not enough that we should be teaching it in school books, but definitely enough to consider that there's oral traditions and other evidence from the past that, like, what happened with the Noah flood, what happened with Atlantis, is like a cycle that's gone on for like 50,000 years or more. That every so often it seems like humanity gets wiped out and has to start over. And I think it's Zachariah Stitchin was talking about an alien race that comes here every 20, 30,000 years or something like that. And and it might be more than 50,000 years, but it's like it's like Earth is a lot. The human race is a lot older than what people think it is. And I'm thinking, well, they got this where they're saying, yeah, every so often, it's like a reset flipped, and we have to start over. Well, what if that's this alien race coming back, and they like, think about it. They come here and they look at people on the far left, maybe not all of them, but some of them, and they look at people like Trump, and they look at people like RFK Jr., just fucking nut jobs, and the people that follow him. The people that are out there following Trump and everybody else, the fucking MAGA people, the people that went from being like drug addicts to religious nuts, and they're dealing with the people that were somehow graduated from high school even though they're fucking morons. They might come back and look at it and go, yeah, this isn't what we wanted. Because there's some of these people that study this stuff, and they don't do it very often. I think they realize that it causes problems. But what they've done is they've occasionally said, well, what if it turns out we're some kind of an agricultural experiment? Like, we're not God's chosen. We're not special. What if some people just said, hey, fuck it, let's create something and see what happens? And when I was watching that thing on Gaia, I'm like, well, okay, what if this reset, this thing where it happens over and over and over again? What if it's this alien race coming back, not being happy with us, and just fucking throwing us under the bus? Like, I've seen it in some movies where they talk about, like, yeah, maybe God will kill us off and start over again with the dinosaurs, because you think about it, some of the shit that you're seeing now where Donald Trump thinks it's okay to grab women by the pussy, he thinks it's okay to do the shit that he's doing. What if they come back and they go, yeah, that's not for us. We don't like that. What if they look at this greed is good mentality in the Republican Party, and some of it's in the Democratic Party? What if they look at, I mean, seriously, this could be Democrats. What if they look at the leadership of the Democrats and go, oh my God, you guys are supposed to be the good guys, and you're fucking lining your pockets with fixed trading? And they come back and just say, fuck it, we can do better or not at all, I don't know. I just don't know. I could see them fucking with us just over the fact that you've got like one major political party that thinks tax cuts raise revenue. I mean, I could literally see that as a fucking problem. Oh my God, they had one on earlier. I think I was still in bed, but they had one on earlier, and they were saying that the Pope, there's like, and this goes back, but it was a earlier version of the Pope, and he was basically he'd made some pact with the devil, and he was taking advice. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he was taking advice from some automated head or something like that. And all I could think of, if you've never seen it, I can't help you, but it was this old TV show called Lex, and there was this woman. Her husband had gotten mad, or she was big and heavy, and he sent her off. I think it might have been an arranged marriage, and when he saw how unattractive she was, and the fact that she wasn't what he wanted, she didn't behave properly, he sent her to get reprogrammed as a love slave, and they genetically alter her, and then they were going to give her some program. Well, they genetically altered her, and she got altered with some kind of an evil worm, so she was a lot more powerful than she looked. And then she got out of there because of the extra strength she had from the worm that got transformed with her. And then a robot, it was like I think it was an attack robot. She ripped its head off. Well, the head got reprogrammed with the love programming. And that's all I could think of when they were saying that he was getting instructions from this head. All I could think of was that little robot head from the TV show Lex. Whoever's calling, I hope they leave me a text message or an email. Because a lot of the times, I got to be honest with you, if they don't go out of their, oh shit. There, I swear to God. Now, maybe it was there. This thing, I don't know. I might not have noticed it because I'm a little lightheaded. But I swear, there's times where there is no bad omen on me, and I go either here or I go to the other village back where you guys have seen it. But I go back there and it just triggers, and I'm like, there was not all the time, I don't know, but there are times I'm positive there was no bad omen on me. That's a glitch they need to fix. I don't feel bad about that when they've got glitches in the game. I really don't. And I know there were people that would come on when I had my realm, but when they would have these glitches where shit would just vanish. And I had an iron farm, but I'm sorry, when like every other day you're going through a couple mine carts, it's like after a while, and other shit would vanish too. I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't feel bad about using a duping machine. I really don't. But they're talking about how a lot of your rich billionaires are having more and more influence on on the space program, and that's something that needs to stop. They really do. You look at the shit that and again, I don't have anything against Elon. I really don't want to see him go broke. It might be the only way to educate him, but I really don't want to see the poor guy go broke. I think but he does this shit. He's not like in a way, he's a little bit like Steve Jobs, but he's not like a Steve Jobs, because Steve Jobs didn't really create anything at Apple. And somebody put that up today, I think on Threads. They go, Elon Musk is gonna fucking shut Apple down, and someone goes, "Did he buy it?" And as a joke. And but the thing is, he whether it's Tesla or something else, he didn't go in there like Wozniak. He didn't go in there like Wozniak and create the stuff. He might be more like a Bill Gates. Bill Gates didn't really create a lot of the stuff at Microsoft, and but they act. Some people act like, well, he's the one doing all that. No, no, he's not, and that's fine. I'm not trying to rip on him, but the fact is, like, you take a look at Steve Jobs. Now, okay, this guy did not create anything, but he had a vision, and he would get people moving in the right direction, and that this is true because there was a time where he was acting up so much they got rid of him. He was a lot like Elon Musk. He was fucking up so much they got rid of him. Well, they noticed the company suffered. And then when they brought him back, things improved. Things came back around, and I think he did maybe straighten up a little bit. Maybe he grew up or whatever. But like, you take a look when he was there, the technology was good. Like, he came back and they were starting to have problems, and he's like, and it was because the person who had run it while he was gone, he basically was opening it up where other people, it'd be like PCs where other people could compete and make video cards or memory or this or that, and then you as a consumer could go and go like, okay, well, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this from Nvidia, I'm going to get this. And when he got back, it was one of the first things he did when he got back that one time. He goes, we're the only ones that make the product, we're going to keep the quality high, the price might stay a little high, but we're going to keep the quality high. And he shut that shit down, and things were better. Somebody always made the joke that if American roads were like Apple Computer, they'd be a little more functional and they'd work better, but only 10% of the cars could drive on them, and that was a fair thing because with the stuff he forced software companies to maintain a pretty high standard of quality, or they could not make stuff for Apple, wouldn't be certified. And hardware was the same way. Well, there was a lot of software companies that wouldn't make stuff for the Apple. And if you are someone that had ever bought stuff for the PC, there's a trade-off. Well, you could get more stuff for the PC, but I remember there was one, like it used to be, well, you could buy a game and it would work pretty good out of the box. I can't remember what game it was, but I was installing it. And during the installation process, they popped a thing up on the screen. Well, now that I was buying it on, I think it was day one. This was back when it didn't cost you like a couple $100 to buy a game on day one. It cost like $50 or $35 or $40. And then after it had been out for like a half a year, you could get it for $20 or less. Them were the good old days. Ask your grandparents about that. That is not a modern day thing. This might have even been, this is back around 95, 96 when the internet was just not that big back then. And, because it used to be you didn't have the internet. So when they sold you a game, they needed to make sure it worked day one, or you might never buy another game from them. Well, what happened was I was installing this thing and it was popping up. They go, hey, you're installing the game. Go here to this website and download the most recent update. They knew it was fucked this was not like an accident. They knew it was fucked when they sold it, because during the installation process, they were telling you where to go get the fix to make the damn thing work on day one. I'm like, okay, this is fucked up. That to me was really, really fucked up. See, what gets me is, and I don't know if any of this is true, but and it used to be more. Now it's like you hear them talk about like regularly. They will talk about like your lizard aliens, the gray aliens, and then there's a group of aliens that they'll talk about, and I think and it's either two different races or it's the same race, and they just refer to them differently. But there was a race that used to be called the Asgardians, and they looked a lot like us. And genetically maybe they were compatible with us. I don't know. And they're talking about another race, and I've heard it said that they kind of look like us. If they were in a suit, you wouldn't be able to tell. If they were wearing like high end gear, you wouldn't be able to tell. But they look like your perfect hair, perfect eyes, and I kind of think of when they talk about Operation High Jump, they talk about the Aryans that they found in, not the Nazis, what the Nazis aspired to be. The Aryans that they found in Antarctica, they fit this description too. So it might be, you got Asgardians and you got Aryans, and it could be they're the same race. And or it could be they're not real. I really don't know. But there was one thing I was watching, and I've heard this before, and I don't know if it's the same thing, and I'm watching it now, and I just didn't remember. But they were talking about they were talking about these alien races, and somebody said that there was a race that talked to them or talked to somebody they knew, and it they basically made the comment about, well, we don't know who we are or where we came from. And I've also heard like these Roswell aliens, the Greys, uh, they might be like robotic, and they have their own agenda. And this was Linda Moulton Howell. She was talking about these three races. She had gotten this information from somebody, and it was something along the lines of. Uh, the gray aliens, the little Roswell Greys, as some people refer to them, they had their own agenda, and they sometimes would side with either the lizards or the human looking ones, depending on if it aligned with their goals. And if these things are robots, like some think they are, and then there was something where, and I don't know if it was the Roswell ones or something else, but they were making the comment that somebody had made the comment that, well, you don't know your history or your legacy, or you're better than you think you are, something along those lines. And what I wonder is, uh, maybe those Roswell aliens, maybe if they are robotic, maybe there's something that our ancestors created and they are trying to help us back. Okay, this one here, I think they're going to talk about underground stuff or something. Because I think in the preview for it, they were talking about like a big giant hole in Antarctica. Ross Island, Antarctica. Okay, that Ross Island in Antarctica, they're talking in 2018 they discovered cosmic rays were not landing on the Earth from outer space, but they were being projected from Antarctica into space. I think they were saying this week that the ocean down there by Antarctica, there's a spot in it that is cooling. It's not getting warmer. And when they're talking about this, I'm wondering if maybe something's waking up down there. And it might not even be that. It may be just something is melting the ice and it's coming out into the ocean. But what if something's waking up down there and it's melting the ice? Because there's talk that they have discovered there is a giant pyramid under the ice. And I'm kind of wondering, well, what if something is waking up? Maybe it's an automated system, maybe it's something, and they're melting the ice so they can start to use the pyramid again for whatever it's intended. I'm hoping my head clears up a little bit. I would like to go get some donuts for breakfast. I was gonna go to the grocery store today, but I just didn't feel like it. That's kind of weird though. If like normally cosmic rays only come from space to us, and they're saying just in there You've got cosmic rays coming out of it going into space. Because you would, because if you're going to say, well, maybe they're just coming from somewhere else, well, then why are they coming out of that one area? I mean, even if it's true, let's just say these things are coming from some other destination and coming. Okay, then what about the Earth is focusing them? Again, I don't know. But what about the Earth is focusing them to come out of this area? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, the nice thing is some of these areas they're pretty open. I can start to close them up now. Yeah, my phone gets spammed. It's almost unusable most days. I get spammed with these jobs, and even if I was still healthy, even if I was in my peak condition, these are jobs they're like, oh, they liked your resume, or and it's like, oh my god, even when I was in peak condition, I wouldn't have been considered for that job. It ain't quite this bad, but they're like, oh, lead data engineer, or and I'm like, oh my god, they even if I was completely healthy, even if they didn't have to worry about me falling and breaking my ankle, uh, I'd never get that job. Just never. I got all these ones where they're looking for like a register. I'm not even an entry level nurse, like an LP or whatever it is. And I'm like, and they're looking for a registered nurse. It's like, oh, you guys are just a fucking scam. You guys are you guys are just a fucking scam. With the fucking horrible people that are out there fucking trying to scam people. That's another thing. It's like, yeah, seriously, fucking work on getting assisted suicide legal, because I'm getting too fucking weak, and I'm getting too fucking out of it to deal with these fucking scumbags out there. And I'm sorry, they're just as bad as my sister with the shit she's pulling. They're just fucking scummy people, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm sorry, it's wrong. I ain't gonna lie, that's a little fucking creepy. They're talking about, like, in whatever year it was, the internet allowed anybody with like Google Image to see what is a very weird looking hole in Antarctica, maybe man made. I don't know if I'd be able to do it anyways, but I'd love to have access to my computer and start using it to run the Java version of the Java version of this because I would love to get back on 2B2 or whatever. But the thing is, when I was doing that, I was doing it at night. Well, ever since mom got sick and she wasn't, because for a while there, this is like the first couple of years I was home. I was doing like I was doing what I could for the yard and the snow and everything, and then I'd end up sleeping during the day. And there would be stretches where I'd be up at night. Well, since she died and my sister sold off all the shit, and the thing I was finding like last winter, when I would we weren't getting a lot anyways, but when I would go out and do the snow, I would usually fall asleep after the exertion, pass out, whatever you want to call it. And I would still sleep at night. Now sometimes I wouldn't go to bed till like 11 or 12 o'clock. But like I said, every year it seems like it gets a little worse. Every year it seems like it gets a little worse. And but I used to get on at like 3 or 4 in the morning here, and and there wasn't usually all that many people on there, and so that was kind of nice. That was really nice. And I don't know if I'd be able to do that. And if you're on when everybody's on, you're likely going to get found out. I was on there was hardly anybody on, so I could actually do stuff without the fear I was going to get found out. I'm gonna come back. I got stairs now. Okay, I don't know if this is true or not. I used to write a lot of this stuff off as nuts, but with some of the stuff that's going on, I really don't know anymore. I think in light of some of the accusations that have been made, you honestly have to look at everything over again and reevaluate whether it's true or not. But this guy that was talking to Linda Moulton Howell claimed he was working in Antarctica, and what happened was they were sent to get some. There was an accident at the German outpost in Antarctica, and that was their job to go and pick them up and be like an air rescue, kind of like a medevac flight, but military run. And what happened was there was an area that he said they were not supposed to fly over. And the officers that were on the flight, because they're like, they weren't going to get there in time if they didn't fly over it. So they flew over it and they got the guy picked up, and then they were going to fly over it on the way back. And according to him, I don't know if any of this is true, but according to him, uh, when they were en route, they were flat out ordered to deviate like 30 degrees. And because they went around, the guy died. They were not able to save him. And I'm just going to leave that for now. But he's saying that because they were ordered to go around, like when they flew the first time, they were told it was like an air sampling station or something. Well, all they saw, I think they're going to talk about Operation High Jump now. All they saw was this sinkhole or something like that. And they didn't see anything else. And they're like, well, how can this be classified? my God. I don't know what they were selling, but the commercial, it's got people telling I think their dad, you should make arrangement. I think it might be for that Aflac or something similar to it. And they told him, he should make arrangements in case he can't make it into work. And he goes, well, why wouldn't I be able to make it into work? And they're like, well, and they're just throwing all this stuff out there like, oh, could be a car accident. One of the kids like could have gotten kicked in the head by a horse. He starts making feel like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? This is something that, and I think this is actually true. I think they actually have evidence of this. During World War II, when Hitler was like neck deep in shit, trying to take over the world, it sounds like he was wasting resources and money and people going to Antarctica. And again, I really don't know, but I'm just saying, I think we need to take another look at this shit. And they're like, why would he do that if there wasn't something there? Or at least he had to think there was something. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I think I'll take it right down here. See, and again, I wasn't there, you weren't there, but this is another one. There was a guy who had actually met von Braun, the German rocket scientist that helped us with our space program. And when he got the thing working, the guy, he said, how the hell were you guys able to do this? And he said that von Braun said that they had help, and he pointed up like, and he basically said, he was kind of, if this story is true, apparently he was saying they had help from ET. See, this is and and again, I don't know. Like I said, just with the some of the stuff that's coming up now, like if you watch Skinwalker Ranch, you see some of the shit going on there, and you hear some of the stuff that is allegedly being told to Congress, and Congress seems to be taking it seriously. I mean, you can say what you want, but Kirsten Gillibrand, Marco Rubio, these people don't look like fucking morons that are gonna attach their name to some shit if it isn't true. I just don't see it. And they appear to be like lifelong politicians, and they're saying that this guy was sent down there, and I think that's the case. And they're also making the claim that when he got back, his fleet was damaged, and he spoke to a reporter down there and said that we might get attacked by craft that can go from pole to pole in minutes. And again, if this is true, and I don't know, but this should be pretty easy to check. For modern day people, that it should be pretty easy to check if an admiral did this. It's like yesterday I was basically covering that one where I was talking about that ET that crashed back in the 1890s, and again, because like that one there, it from what they were saying when I was watching that one yesterday, and that is I must have seen that a while ago because it got to the part where they they found what they thought was the burial site of the alien and a metal detector because it was basically said that the body and the debris was buried there. And there was also something that one, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. I'm gonna wait on this until I make sure it lines up. That kind of bothered me yesterday. And it's like it basically what it was is it was something that had never been fixed. One, two, three. But they were talking about it, and it sounded like that one in Aurora, Texas. I think that's where it was. I think that's where it was. Um, it was widely seen. Like, it wasn't just like, I mean, it wasn't just a couple people. It was the mayor, and I guess it was the Army Signal Corps, but and I think he was an officer. Now, and maybe the judge was like that corrupt judge we had in Wisconsin here that let Carl Rittenhouse get away with murder, but um, that clown circus that judge that was on TV. But it was well documented. There were, and this wasn't the age of the internet. It wasn't the age of everybody having a cell phone or a phone. They didn't have satellites and so on and so forth. But it sounds like there were reportings all over that area about this. And so, you can say what you want. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out here. That's why yesterday I was talking about it. I was basically saying that it was a lot like the Phoenix Lights. Okay, now they're talking about the Reese map. I think that's what it's called. My balls itch. Hang on a second. But it's a map that shows Antarctica without the ice, and the guy who drew it said he pieced it together from about 3 or 4 different maps that don't exist anymore. And now that they have satellites that can peer through the ice, they're finding out it's accurate. And the weird thing is the people, and I don't know anything about this, but they said the map appears to have been made with modern day uh, tech techniques or methods where it's a math term, and I don't want. I'm not gonna. This isn't right, but they were saying that it was advanced map making techniques, like, and it's got something to do with trigonometry or something like that, almost like it was viewed from satellite photos and whatnot, and it's really freaked people out. Um, I don't know. Let's see what time it is. Oh, yeah. What I'll do is I gotta fill this in anyways, but I'll have to come back with some dirt. I might not do this on stream, and I don't know if I'm gonna move the. I don't know if I'm gonna move the portal, but and I might need to move the map a little, or the road a little bit. But I will shoot this over. I'll fill that in so I can shoot that dirt road all the way over. And I will probably make the dirt road circle around this on both sides, and I'm probably going to have to move the pumpkin farm. And then that will tie up to this. I'm getting lightheaded, and I'm gonna be less, not more talkative, but I'm gonna probably just cancel the stream. I've been going for a little bit now, and I'll see if I can get a little bit more done. I might just go lay down. I can watch this on the TV and just lay down. I did that yesterday. I went and laid down for like an hour or two, and then I came back later because I'd like to get some rest, because I really would like to maybe go get some donuts later. So I got them for breakfast. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a good day.